It's with delight that I introduce you to Delia McLaren, Head of Schools, and Ashley Guerra-Garza, Director of Admissions and Enrollment for Young Women's Leadership Academy. In 2020, the Young Women's Leadership Academy Foundation received one of our high impact grants for their project to implement laptop computers for use in their schools. We're delighted to have Delia and Ashley here this morning to share some of their key learnings and suggestions based on their own firsthand experiences. So I want to welcome Delia and Ashley and turn it over to you all to take it away.
And thank you for having us. Just want to thank, first of all, Impact San Antonio for the work that you all do. You are making incredible change happen in our communities. I know for the young women at the Young Women's Leadership Academy, we are super excited about the support we receive. And I just want to tell everybody, take a deep breath right now, because as it was mentioned earlier, I know that you have received a lot of information. I also want to thank Ashley Guerra-Garza, who is a huge support to me with the grant. So the first thing I want to say is do not try and do this on your own. Make sure that you have a team that will support you, that will divvy the work up. And I just want to give you some quick lessons learned, because we did apply year one, and there were some huge lessons that I learned. And then the second year, we were able to have Ms. Garza on board, and I'm going to share those lessons with you. But first things first, I just want to make sure that when you are breaking up the work, make sure that you have a work plan, because if you don't have a work plan that keeps you anchored in time, keeps you anchored in the tasks that need to be completed, it can get away from you very quickly. And when you divvy up the work, make sure that the team understands their responsibilities, because it certainly will make it easier. The first go around, it was a team of two that we were doing and trying to get this done. And it can be a lot, okay? And I'm going to share when it becomes a lot and when it doesn't need to become a lot of work and overwhelming. So let's get started. The first thing that we learned in year one was that you need to be sure that you understand that when you're asking, what you're asking for is that it's something that can be maintained by, in my case, our school district. So we were hoping to get some vans, because I did my research on Impact San Antonio, saw some of the previous grantees and what they had asked for. And then I assessed our needs, and at our campus, we had several needs. When I assessed it, I said, oh, it'll be a great idea. We'll get some Suburbans. We'll be able to transport our kids to colleges the way that was a huge need for our families. But I didn't think it all the way through. So when you're planning, think through. One of the things that kind of popped up is, how are we going to maintain these Suburbans? Where is the gas money going to come from? What about the liability? And in talking with the district, they were very nervous about all that. So make sure that you do your homework. If you are part of a larger entity, understand how you fit into those structures, and then what will be an allowable expense and not an allowable expense, because there's certainly, for us in the school district, it's a much bigger picture. And so that was a lesson learned the first go around. And the second thing is, when you are going into a grant, I see many incredible organizations out there, and some of you may have access to grant writers, which is great. Some of you may not. At a school, I use my English teacher, so that's certainly a plus. But there is certainly a different language vernacular when it comes to grant writing. So I was on a huge learning curve, and so I tapped into some friends who had written grants, and I said, okay, what do they mean by this? What is that? And so become familiar with the language, and don't hesitate to reach out to any of us, because we've all been there and we want to work together to make sure that you are successful. And then Ashley, let me know if anything pops in that I need to stop and answer. The other thing that I want to share with you is, when you are writing your grant and you have those chunks of the process, the work that you're working on, is have somebody that can look at it with a fresh eye. And one of the things that I always ask first is, are we answering the question? Sometimes we would write, great language, great ideas, but we didn't answer the question. So the first thing you want to do is get somebody who can read through your work as you're going and make sure that you're answering the question, providing the supporting details. And then there are points where you have to be very succinct. So be sure that you get somebody that can read through your grant, understand how to combine sentences, but most importantly, somebody who can see if your vision is coming through throughout the grant, if your the image, the vision that you're trying to get through in your grant is aligned with what your purchase is, what you're hoping to invest your funds in. So having somebody with a fresh set of eyes that can look at that and give you some feedback is always great. So our third-party reviewer, we first had somebody, we had the team, everybody was kind of switching their work and seeing if we were doing what we had. But for us, the third-party reviewer was somebody that had participated in grants. And like I said earlier, you don't have to have a grant writer, but you do want to have somebody, it could be a copy editor, it could be somebody that just has a strong skill set of writing, but definitely tap into that. That feedback is solid. Last year, we were very blessed that if we turned our work early, turned it in early, we did receive some feedback from the team at Impact. So it's always important to try and set your deadline. We had our in-house deadline so that we could meet the essay deadlines guaranteed. But when you have your own deadlines, it gives you that cushion to get additional feedback because you want to present and submit the best work that you can. There's also an opportunity for the site visit. So when the site visit happens, we want to make sure that you are showcasing everything that you can about your organization. So when you're going to your grant writing, you also need to know what is the most important parts, the attributes that you want to put out for the community to know about your organization. We keep a one-pager at YWLA, and on that one-pager, we are consistently updating our achievements, what the students have done, what the teachers are doing. And it's very difficult when you're trying to go back and say, okay, what are the highlights of what we've done? What are our achievements? So if you have not started keeping a running list of your highlights of your organization, I would suggest that you start keeping track of that. And it's just always great because what I'm going to tell you is if you don't get it the first year out, do not be discouraged, do not give up, come back and reapply because that's what we did. We gave it our best try the first year. It was not successful, but we came back and we just, were better for the lessons learned the first time. The other thing that I'm going to ask you is when you have your one-pager, we include our partners in the community. So we're blessed to have many, many partners that we work with. Some of you are on this call today, but it's about Impact San Antonio wants to know that your impact is not just within your organization, but that you have partnerships throughout the community and that you're working with other partners making a difference and for us, it's especially for girls, but it's how are you partnering with other organizations in the community? And then be aware of any other grants that you may have received. When it comes to the financials, you really want to start doing your homework on that if you haven't already, but you want to have your ducks in a row, make sure that those financials are as they should be because it can get a little overwhelming. I know the first time it was like, okay, when they're asking for our budget, are they talking for the entire school budget or is it the budget from the foundation or what is that? So ask questions as you go. When it comes to the grant award, if you're familiar with SMART goals, being specific, being measurable, everything that a SMART goal is, that is how you want to approach this. On the grant, when we were writing, it was the more specific we could be, the better. You want to paint a picture as to one, how you're going to spend your funds, what is the impact of the purchase that you're going to have. And one of the things that I would suggest is, being an old journalism editor in high school, it was the 5 W's and how. So what are you doing? When are you doing it? Why are you doing it? And so on and so forth. But it goes back to that specificity so that the more that you are able to give to the grant reviewers, the stronger your case is going to be. And then for us, it was, and I know that this was shared earlier, but it's really about when you think about the investment of these funds, what is the return on investment for this team? And for us, it was the impact that we were going to have for our students. So really be sure that you connect the dots between what you're purchasing and then that impact again that the purchase is going to have in your organization. Sometimes that can get lost. I know that we didn't do a very good job of that the first year, but be sure that as you're writing the different parts that it's all connected and that you are hitting the mark when it comes to communicating what the impact is going to be. For us, it was for our students, and it's not just an impact for one day. It's not just an impact for one student, but how big is that impact and what is the ripple effect? For example, we know that for us, we had purchased laptops, but we knew we could give our girls the technology skills that when they go to college, they're going to be all the more prepared to pursue their degree in computer science. And if we don't have the hardware, it's very hard for our girls to leave with the skills. So communicating how you connect those dots, not just in the moment or the immediate impact, but then what the ripple impact is going to be afterwards. And then you get to do some really fun things. We have the finalist video, and that video, I was blessed to have a student that is very tech savvy. I would not consider myself the most tech savvy. So we had students who can, cut and edit video, and we tapped into their expertise. So when we were working on the video, it was a lot of fun, and it saved us a lot of money. We didn't have the money to go out and hire somebody. So think around in your network, in your group of friends, who is somebody that you can tap into when it comes to creating the video, or for any of these other services. You have many people who believe in the mission of your organization. So how do you tap into them, and how do you use them to help promote the need, first of all, for your grant, and then who can be the face of your organization? For us, we were, again, fortunate. We tapped into some students. We tapped into our advisory board chair, Suzanne Wade, helped with that. She knows what the mission is of our school, and she was able to express the need for the funds. For us, the funds that we received from Impact were not the total expense that we needed, but it gave us a huge boost in meeting our goal. So you need to be able to communicate how the Impact funds fit within your overall fundraising campaign. So who can communicate your passion? For us, it's who's going to sell your organization. Sometimes it's you. Sometimes it's somebody in the community who has benefited from your organization. For us, it was students. So you really need to know who is going to be able to make the impact through the video when it comes to that. Because if you have not been to the award ceremony, these finalist videos really make a huge difference. So submitting the video, if you make it to that round where you are one of the finalists, there are deadlines. And again, if you get your work done earlier, it helps because they were able to give us some feedback. And if you have a video, again, if you make it to that round, then they were also able to help us with some tech things like putting your name on the video. And so that's always something that we appreciated from the team at Impact San Antonio. The deadlines, again, this is, and I'm moving if you are going to be one of the finalists, because that's what our hope is, that you are going to be a finalist. The Impact San Antonio team does an incredible job communicating with you. So don't feel like you have to keep track of all of this. They have a team that's assigned to you. If you're one of the finalists, they kind of coach you through. They ask you, have you done this? Have you turned it in? How can we help? So I really have to commend this group of women that go above and beyond to help you with each step as you go through it. But again, set your in-house deadlines, get it done early, don't wait till the last minute. The other thing that I would ask is when you're doing your video, just like you did the application, make sure that you have somebody look at the video cold and ask them, okay, what did you feel? Did your message come across? And when I say your message, it's about the message that you were putting in the grant that should connect with your mission and then the impact that you want from the purchase. So you want somebody to view it and then to give you feedback. Sometimes it's technical feedback like, we couldn't really hear you in that when you said whatever it was that you said, we couldn't really see because the sun was coming through. Or sometimes it's just you have to do an overhaul and redo your video. So if you get to the final round, when you do, be sure that you get somebody that can be a critical friend, an honest friend, and give you that feedback. Because the video is what everybody's going to see that night, and that's how they vote to determine who will be the recipient of the funds. I also shared submit early whenever you can. Ashley, is there anything I've left off so far before I go on?
No, but we're going to move on to the grant award night. We're running out of some time.
Okay, so I'm going to speed it up a little. For the grant award night, it's make it a party. We had all of our team at Suzanne's house. We had a great dinner. And then you have to decide who's going to receive the award. So it's kind of like the Oscars. It was really fun last year because we were in Suzanne's home. We're all together. Have fun, celebrate your work. If you want to have matching shirts, I saw some of the teams did that. I thought that was a great idea. And then don't forget to thank those who helped you along the way. And most importantly, we are grateful to Impact San Antonio for this opportunity, but don't give up.